Have you ever noticed how rare silence has become? From the moment we wake up, something is competing for our attention. Notifications, emails, podcasts, videos, music, social media. Even moments that used to be quiet are often filled with more input. A podcast during the commute, videos while eating, music while working, scrolling before bed. And because these habits have become so normal, most of us never stop to ask what effect they might be having on us. Not because technology is bad, and not because information is bad, but because many of us are taking in information almost every waking moment of the day. And what if that comes with a hidden cost? In TCM, there's a concept known as the Shin. You can think of the Shin as the part of you that influences mental clarity, emotional balance, focus, and sleep. When the Shin is settled, the mind tends to feel calm and clear. You can focus more easily. Your thoughts feel less scattered, and it's easier to relax when the day is over. But when the mind is constantly being pulled in different directions, jumping from notifications to videos to messages to endless streams of information, it can become much harder for the Shin to settle. And when that happens, people often begin noticing things like restless thoughts, difficulty focusing, feeling mentally overwhelmed, or struggling to fully unwind at night. Not because there's something wrong with them, but because the mind rarely gets a chance to slow down. You finally sit down at the end of the day to relax, but your mind keeps going. You lie down in bed, and instead of winding down, your thoughts start jumping from one thing to another. Maybe you're replaying conversations, thinking about tomorrow, or simply feeling unable to switch off. You take a day off from work. You spend a few hours doing nothing, yet somehow you still don't feel refreshed afterward. And that's where a lot of people get confused, because from the outside, it looks like rest, but internally, the mind may still be busy, still thinking, still reacting, still looking for the next thing to focus on. It's almost as if the body is trying to rest while the mind is still running. Over time, this can leave you feeling mentally exhausted, easily distracted, or strangely restless, even when you're physically tired. And for many people, that has become so normal that they barely notice it's happening. In TCM, health is often understood as a balance between activity and restoration. Both are important. We need periods where we are focused, working, thinking, and engaging with life. But we also need periods where the mind can slow down and recover. The challenge is that modern life makes it very easy to stay mentally active all day long. A few spare minutes becomes scrolling. A quiet moment becomes another video. A break becomes another source of information. Even meals and downtime are often filled with input. So instead of true rest, the mind is still being asked to process something new. Something to look at, something to think about, something to react to. And while each moment on its own may not seem like much, over time, this constant input can start to build up. In TCM, when the mind stays active without enough time to settle, it can become harder to maintain internal balance. Some people may notice difficulty focusing. Others feel mentally drained, even without much physical effort. And some find that sleep doesn't feel as deep or refreshing as it used to. It's not necessarily that something is wrong. It may simply be that the mind is spending most of the day in a state of input, without enough moments of recovery in between. What's interesting is that many people have already experienced the opposite. Maybe you've gone for a walk without your phone, sat quietly outside, or spent a few moments in nature without any distractions. At first, the mind may still feel busy. Thoughts keep coming and going. You might even feel a little uncomfortable at first. But over time, something often begins to shift. The mental noise starts to soften. Your attention feels less scattered, and there can be a sense of calm that's hard to find when you're constantly taking in information. In TCM, these quiet moments are not wasted time. They are part of restoring balance. They give the mind a chance to settle, a chance to reset from constant input. This doesn't mean you need to give up technology, or stop listening to podcasts, or avoid social media. The goal is balance. Small moments during the day where nothing is demanding your attention. A walk without headphones. A meal without scrolling. A few minutes before bed with no screen. Because sometimes the issue isn't that we're doing too much. It's that we're never giving the mind space to be still. And that stillness may be more important than we realize.
Acupuncture is my life.